now Central Illinois' most accurate forecast with meteorologist Seth Bohnhoff.
Well, today's the kind of day that you may be used to seeing in June or July, where it's just stinking hot out, the humidity's way up. Here we are, though, in the middle of May dealing with it. Things are just intense out there with the heat and the humidity. So we look to the west here from Memorial Stadium in Champaign. Let's take a look at our satellite and radar picture. Nothing here in the area just yet, but we notice up there in Wisconsin, warnings all up and down that cluster of storms and that center of low pressure far to the north and west of us. That's kind of the start of everything. It can continue to kind of build off that line and make its way down this direction as we get later on in the afternoon and evening. Look at those dew points. We've got moisture that's really building in. We've got maybe some mid-70s down here across the southern half of the area. Not quite as bad to the north, but still it equates to heat index values there into the middle 90s. We actually did touch 100 on the heat index earlier today in Champaign, so it is hot and it is muggy. Again, this is the kind of conditions that you maybe feel later on in the summer. Pretty atypical for that to happen here in the middle of May. Tonight we're going to see some showers and storms. It should be kind of wrapping up with by the time we get into the true nighttime hours. But here in this evening, we're going to really be watching, particularly over the next several hours. Here's your latest Storm Prediction Center outlook. There's lots of kind of uncertainty as to where we're going to see storms pop up, if we're going to see them pop up at all, how far south they could extend. Greatest threat is off to our north, but all of us here in this slight risk zone, and pretty much everybody in any risk zone, needs to watch out for just the potential for one storm to pop, because when it does, it is going to intensify very quickly, and it's going to bring the risk for pretty much all hazards along with it. Brought this graphic up before the break. Essentially, this is just kind of a zone that they are keeping an eye out for to potentially issue a watch here in the next few hours. Within that zone, they mentioned the chance for very large hail up to close to softball size, not quite that size, but just a little less. Severe winds, tornadoes possible there. We'll be watching to see what they do with that. They give that about a 60% chance to issue a watch later on this evening. This is probably the most helpful graphic that I'll be able to show you. The coverage, there's maybe only going to be a few storms in the end, but those storms that do pop will be intense. We're talking about potential for some tornadoes. Wind gusts could maybe get up to 80 miles an hour in the strongest storms, and that hail up to a tennis ball, maybe even baseball size. Those are going to be the things that we are going to pay a lot of attention to. Here's your hail size graphic, but this kind of goes for your strongest winds and your best tornado threat too. Wherever you see the kind of more intimidating colors there for the hail, it's pretty much the same for those other two risks as well. And we mentioned the fact that baseball hail could be possible here in some of these storms. Just a lot going into this. This is a pretty prime setup here for some supercells that are really going to deliver here later this evening. Question is that cap going to hold out? You've heard us talk a lot about that here over the last several days. For the most part, it'll keep a lot of us dry. It'll keep a lot of us kind of quiet here, especially over the next couple of hours. Once we get to 6 or 7 p.m., we start to see the first few cells potentially pop. It's kind of game on from there. This one kind of keeping those cells a little farther to the south to start, but we're really just kind of watching the northern half of the area, particularly up and down I-57. It's where the most consistent models have been, but there is that possibility we see those cells extend down to the south. Again, these storms look pretty good on radar, so we will watch and see how that progresses through the night. Not going to be a late into the night thing, should be done with by about maybe 10 or 11 o'clock. And then after that, tomorrow we actually have a greater risk, a moderate risk down there across the I-70 region for some more storms. Models aren't in very good agreement about what's going to happen there tomorrow, but the setup is going to be just as good, if not a little better, for some of us down that direction. So we'll watch for that. And as if that wasn't enough, don't want to overwhelm you here, but maybe potential for more severe weather as we head on to next week. Tuesday already has a slight risk outlined there across the western half of the state of Illinois. So lots to watch out for here, particularly in the next 24 to 36 hours. There's a look at your 7-day forecast. That's what we're going to pay a lot of attention to. Then as we get into the weekend, I think a nice break is underway. Going to be some very mild temperatures. Going to have very quiet conditions overall, but might pick up again with the storm chances heading on into Monday and Tuesday there. So we kind of just have to play it by ear, one setup at a time, especially with tonight's bringing that chance for some of those supercells that we're not too used to around here all the time, especially in the May time where it's, maybe 80 degrees or something. Yeah. It's 90 today. Heat index is 100. Lots of unusual things going into today.
Well, I know you'll keep